Most communicators don't struggle with what to say. They struggle with why their words don't move people. Now, I've spent years watching leaders, entrepreneurs, high impact, elite, world class communicators, people who consistently command rooms, they shape thinking and drive action. I've spent years studying these elite communicators, and I've noticed three patterns that show up over and over again for most elite communicators. These aren't tricks, they're not hacks, they're patterns. And when one of these patterns is missing, it can cause our communication to lose its power. Good communicators inform, great communicators transform. The gap isn't intelligence, the gap isn't confidence. The gap is that people will walk away listening to a good communicator, understanding, but not changing, not transforming. Elite communicators consistently do these three things that most other speakers miss. All right, let's jump in here to pattern number one. Pattern number one is to establish connection. Establishing connection. Connection isn't, it's not rapport, right? Connection isn't similar to small talk. Hey, the weather's nice today. That's not what we're talking about. Connection is resonance. Resonance. Communicators begin by helping the audience answer one question. Is this for me? What I'm communicating, what the communicator is sharing, is that for the audience. They're establishing connection. Now, oftentimes this is done through a key statistic. It might be a large global study or a research study specific to that demographic or target audience that might name or identify the specific problem that's being talked about. Or it could be a personal story that humanizes the tension that the communicator wants everyone to sit in. Or it could be a metaphor that simplifies something complex, establishing connection. The point isn't the opening, the point is identification. See, when people feel seen, they lean in. When they feel understood, they stay open. And most speakers skip this step, right? They lead with expertise instead of empathy. They rush to the solutions before they've earned trust. And here's the truth: people don't open their minds until they feel understood. Establish connection. That's pattern number one. Context. Pattern number two, create context. Context is what turns information into insight. Information tells people what to do, right? Context helps them understand why it matters and how it fits. Elite communicators don't just give the answer, they frameworks, they give mental models, they give maps, roadmaps, because none of us, we don't just want more content, right? We want orientation. We want a roadmap, a mental model, a framework. And context builds credibility without bravado, right? It creates calm instead of overwhelming. There's an overwhelming amount of information. Context doesn't overwhelm. It allows people to apply what they're hearing long after the talk, the session, the keynote, long after it's over. The context allows us to consume it, digest it, and apply it. And most speakers miss this because they overload content, assume that there's the shared understanding of what's being discussed, or teach without framing, right? Without reframing the context or the specific scenario or the step in the process. See, when people don't know where they are, they don't know what to do next. Create context. That's pattern number two. Here's the third pattern that elite communicators use. The pattern that they consistently utilize is to act as a catalyst. You see, elite communicators don't just inspire, they activate. Motivation fades, but vision sustains. Catalysts do three things. Catalysts paint a clear picture of the future state. They name the cost of staying and remaining the same, and then they offer a clear next step for someone to take. It's direction, it's clarity of next steps. See, people don't change, people don't transform because they feel informed. They change or transform because they can see a better future and they believe it's possible for them to achieve. Most speakers, most communicators, they end with hope, right? They end with hope instead of direction. They avoid calling for action, and the moment passes. See, if you don't call people to act, you've not given them a talk, you've not effectively communicated, you've not provided your leadership, you've just given them a nice talk, a nice presentation. But if you want to communicate for impact, give them direction, act as a catalyst. These are the three patterns that elite communicators utilize: establish connection, create context, and act as a catalyst. And these three patterns work together, they go hand in hand. Connection earns attention, context builds confidence, and catalyst drives change. If you miss one of these, your communication can lose its power. Your communication can lose its impact. Create connection, establish connection, create context, act as a catalyst.